Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're at your favorite spot, the best podcast on the planet, no doubt. This is the place where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp, the responses are never dull. And today is no different than any other day. We're going to learn, but we're also going to play. We are going to play with Jena, Ponti, Jauchius. Much time, and she always looks so happy because she's doing something for little people. And this will also give some great tools and insight for parents that are dealing with children with special needs. You know, let's keep it real, Brains. It's a lot. Okay, it's a full container. And so how are you able to offboard some of these things, come in with some new creative ideas, have a rest break for yourself, and everything be wonderful? So we're counting on you, Jena. Welcome to On the Edge.
Oh, thank you so much, April. I'm so happy to be here today and in front of your community of brains. It's the best way I can think of spending my time this morning. So
It is.
appreciate being here.
We were in the green room, and I said, you know what? Taylor's got her Swifties, Beyonce's got her Beehive, but I've got the brains. How about that? And you are
That's right.
Tell us how you show up in this world and how you became, number one, a landscape architect, and how you came up with this innovative idea of natural play.
Well, okay, I'm going to clarify you first. I did not come up with the idea of natural play. This has been a trend that has been around for quite a number of years now. And quite honestly, it's the way that we have
come together to create a recipe for success.
Oh boy. I love that question. So, to unpack that a little bit, um, I've been doing this work for over 23 years now, and started basically found the rabbit hole of nature play very early on in my career. So, essentially, when I first came out of school and started my career as a landscape architect, I discovered the magical realm of designing for kids, and I realized immediately that's where my heart was. And it has been the deepest and most fascinating rabbit hole I've ever been down my professional work. Um, and so
Did you take
for
the red pill or the blue pill?
well, I don't know, like a different color, a totally different color. Like it might have been a gummy bear. Um, so that made me lose my train of thought. Um,
so
so
so we were basically talking about, landscape. Well, let me interject while you're getting your train of thought back.
sure.
An architect is a designer,
Yes.
a creator of
Yes.
space. uh Landscape architect, I really like that because now you incorporate nature. You're looking at
Right.
not only just the area, but you're looking at the plants and the shrubbery and how this is going to make people feel. You're going to put in the
Yes.
colors and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's pretty much been, and I shouldn't maybe generalize, but that was pretty much a male dominated field for a long time.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And it's shifted. It's shifted since I've been in the profession. But yeah, when I came out of school, it was very male dominated. And there were glass ceilings all over the place. But there are a lot of women breaking through that and doing mind-blowing work in this work. And yeah, landscape architects, we design outdoor environments, everything you can think of, from parks and trails and children's spaces to prisons and skate parks and the gamut.
Hmm.
And I knew early on that, to be a general landscape architect, that's pretty amazing. But I knew early on that that wasn't quite my path and that I wanted to kind of specialize. And so, as I was mentioning earlier, when I came to realize that designing for children can be a niche that can put food on the table and feed your soul at the same time, that's I knew that's was the right path for me, and so I just started walking down that path, and pretty soon, um, I'm bringing because I'm also an artist, and so my master's work was how to incorporate earth art, so creating artwork out of the natural environment, whether it's contouring the land or twigs and flowers, what have you. Um, how can that contribute to learning? And so, how if you put that in a school setting, what does that look like? And so that really opened up my mind in terms of the potentials for the how nature can be used to grow the whole child, their learning, their play, their spirit, and all of that. And so that's kind of really where the bud of my work started was 23 years ago. Early on in that time, I also became interested. I've always had a really soft spot for kids with special needs and their families. Um, but I became aware of autism and neurodiversity. And that was this whole other section of this rabbit hole I was going down. And that becoming more understanding and aware of of a child who experiences neurodiversity, their experience of their environments and how they can thrive really shifted my work in understanding that when we can support children with neurodiversity in their environments, we actually support all kids. Because first and foremost, it boils down to their nervous system and their senses and how their senses perceive and filter and process environmental information
Mm.
that forms their reality. And it's the same for all kids because all kids, like when they pop out in the world, that is their mission is to pick up as many sensory experiences as they can so that they're building a database of information, understanding their world, understanding social situations, and everything else, understanding themselves, all starts with the senses and the nervous system.
And it's
And so when,
beautiful because what you do also, it heightens their senses, but it heightens their sense of awareness and makes them more comfortable because just from me, I don't
yeah,
have a child with autism or that is neurodiverse, but from what I've observed and what I've seen is that they tend to be more introverted because they're
hmm
processing things. So to be able to use the sense of touch, the sense of smell, the
yeah,
sound, the environment, that really radiates with them to make them calm, to make them more comfortable, but also give them something to do and engage. Even if it's a child that does repetitive motion, they can, they can work in a garden or they can sit
yeah,
in a field. So I mean, that's really great. That is really great. Are there
yeah.
a lot of other architects or other individuals? Is this growing in the field of landscape
Uh,
architecture?
Not so many. Not so many. I mean, design industry wide, when we're counting architects and interior designers and landscape architects and what have you, there's very few of us that that one um, design supportive environments for children and people with autism and other neurodiversities. But quite honestly, I don't know of anyone else in the industry that comes from the sensory approach like the same way I do. Um,
Brilliant.
and I talk about, yeah, it's been really phenomenal. I talk about children's like we're multisensory beings, are we not, April? And
Yeah,
brains, we are multisensory
exactly.
beings.
Exactly.
And I talk about supporting children's seven senses. There's not just five. There's two more physical senses that children's environments, indoor or out, needs to support in order for them to truly understand their environments and to navigate their environments and to thrive in their daily lives. And so
What are the other
those
two?
other, yeah, the other two are they're movement-based systems. So the first one, the technical term is called the vestibular system. It's our body orientation system. And so it tells us where our heads are at relative to gravity. So are we right side up? Are we upside down? Are we sideways? So if you've ever had vertigo, if you've ever been on a roller coaster and you're feeling really queasy afterward, that's like a really unhappy vestibular system. It's located in our inner ear. We probably are all very familiar with this. So kids to feed this system, they swing and they spin and they roll and they crawl and they get their bodies moving in all sorts of different ways, big body movements. And so feeding that system really helps with balance, equilibrium, body confidence, being able to move a body, your body in a variety of different ways, and many other things.
Hmm.
And then the other one is really fascinating. It covers a lot of things. It's called our proprioceptive system or proprioception, and it's also our body awareness system. And this one tells us it's all internal. It tells us where our bodies are at relative to the things around us in our environments, where our limbs are at relative to our core. And so when we close our eyes and touch our finger with our um, touch our nose to with our finger, that's our proprioceptive system. And so big body movements. And it also has to do with fine motor skills, very fine movements, and the use
Is that
of
why they always ask you that when the police pull you over? Can you touch your nose?
yeah, alcohol and the proprioceptive system don't mix, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well,
Um, yeah,
that's great bits of information because I'm aware of them, but I didn't put them in the context of also being a part of the senses. So there are
yeah,
seven senses, but also
yeah,
the eighth sense, your common sense.
totally.
And common sense is not so common anymore. You
True.
have a lot of people, I'm going to pick on parents right now, that absolutely don't want to believe that their child is different. They're all different brains, news flash,
Um,
every single one of them. There's not a carbon copy of anybody on the planet. Okay. Um, but it's hard for them to adjust. It's hard for them to, number one, uh, deal with the situation, identify with the situation, try to manage it, and rectify it the best way that they can. How do you support parents in this
yeah,
process, just like you support their children?
yeah, yeah. My personal belief is that we all came to this world um, very intentionally in the expression, human expression that we did. And we are, like you just mentioned, we're all different. We're all wired differently. Our nervous systems are all wired differently to perceive our world in different ways, sometimes dramatically different ways. And so when parents can realize that the being different is not being less, that sometimes in their difference lies their superpowers. Sometimes in their difference lies the greatest love that they are pulling out of you. Maybe they're in this differing human expression to pull something out of you. And so it's really a shifting of the mindset. And to really not think of your child as, by these standards that we've set as society, maybe they're not quite there yet, but what does that matter really? I mean, all children blossom in their own way at their own time, and each is equally valuable on this planet. And so really the first is that mindset. The second is when we can actually tailor our indoor and outdoor environments to best support our children and their sensory needs. And if we can do that, that's going to help them. The environment's going to be a co-collaborator in their life in helping them get the sensory information that they need so that their bodies are happy, so that they can go on and do blossom in their own way. And so it's really kind of a two-prong approach in my perspective.
Well, and that's very important that we come to the realization that it is what it is, brains. And again, I love the word that you use, your superpower.
Hmm.
A child might be, I don't know, introverted, but be an amazing artist, be an amazing mathematician, be an amazing uh, magician. I
Yeah.
was at a comedy show, and the comedian said that he had Asperger's. And he was so funny. Girl, he cracked us up. And he talked about being introverted and all the challenges that he had, but making people laugh was his superpower. And look at him now. He's on the big stage. So you never know what you know. Everybody's got a gift, everybody's got a talent. So you
Absolutely.
create these beautiful architectural landscapes and parks and all that. Are you supported by nonprofit organizations, government funding? Are these private venture capitalists? Who really supports you in your effort to get this work done?
So, well, I have my own business called In is for Nature Play, and so I work through that. And then my clients are so there's such variety in them. I've worked for public schools and private schools and early childhood centers. Um, I've designed a number of outdoor classrooms.
Mm.
I've a middle school sensory garden, and some private sensory gardens as well for kids. So really, my clients come from all over the place, and their funding is also uh, widely varied, from grant funding to maybe there's an individual donor or something like that. So it's kind of like the community is coming together, and in many cases, the community comes together to help create this environment, and then
Because
I'm just
I
one of the
like to know,
facilitators.
I like to know who's pouring into that. Who's pouring into the betterment of our children and not labeling them, putting them in the corner, making them feel shame, drugging them, but who's really putting this at the forefront. There's a lot of kids being diagnosed now more than ever. We used to
Yeah.
just say, oh, they're a little hyperactive, they're a little this, they're a little that. Then it got to the point where, well, your child is very disruptive and maybe we ought to put them on some medication. Now it's leaning more to people are really pouring more into the mental health aspect.
Hmm.
And so what they want to do is they want to combat that at an early age. They want to identify it. They don't want to drug you. They want to teach the children mindfulness now. They want
Yeah.
to teach you yoga instead of
Yeah.
putting you in, timeout. Okay, well, let's just have a timeout, but a quiet, mindful that. Reiki.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you're into Reiki as well. Are you a Reiki master?
Not a master. No, I'm level 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, level
Yep.
2 is good. How do you feel about people using Reiki on children?
You know, I'm new to this realm, and so I don't know if I can speak to that question with great authority. Um, there, I think the children themselves can be more Reiki masters than adults. They're so connected, that from 0 to 7, that's the time where they're still the most connected to, uh, the otherworldly realms, and I think they have just as much power within them as someone coming to them and working with Reiki with them.
Exactly.
Um,
Because
yeah.
Reiki brains, for those that don't know, is really like I like to refer to it as an energy massage.
Mhm.
And so what you want to do is you want to be careful. Again, they're young, they're tender, they're in their formative years. But there's also great things with sensory therapy, like emotional freedom technique, tapping.
Mhm.
I found that a lot of people are using that and using that with children that are very helpful. The Reiki can be great for the parents because it'll calm your butt down. I mean, you're
Yeah.
stressed out. You got the work, you got the home, you got the life, you don't know what headspace your child is going to be in on that particular day. You want to give them all that you have. But again, you can't just be a straw and let everybody just suck it out of you. You got to be able to offset that, offboard that, relax, realize what the situation is, and use tools like what Jena has to offer, and just really kind of free yourself of a lot
Yeah.
of burdens.
Absolutely. And I think just as effective as Reiki is spending time outside in nature.
Hmm.
Um, I'm sure you've heard of the concept of grounding or earthing,
Oh, I
where,
do it all the time. I was just at
yeah.
the beach, and I was there and I was sitting there, and I said, you know what? Something's wrong. I had all of this electromagnetic energy in me from sitting in front of this device, being on the
Mhm.
phone, watching the television. I just wasn't feeling right. I took my shoes off, Jenna, and I
Mhm.
buried my feet as deep as I could in the sand, and the sand was nice and cold.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I just felt like the elevator went all the way down to the basement. And when
Mhm.
I left there, I was home for 2 or 3 hours and I still felt that cooling sensation. So, speak to that definitely. And hugging trees
Yeah.
is another one.
Yeah. Yeah. So nature is actually the fastest way to calm our nervous system. The grounding is actually the fastest way to calm our nervous system. And it's free. You can just go outside and do it. Put your feet in the grass. If you're reading a book, if your kids are outside playing, it's just as important for you to go outside and get some time direct contact with nature. Just as important for you as it is for them. And uh, kids naturally want to do that anyway. You know, it's part of their sensory drive to go find that stimulation, but they're also subconsciously connecting with nature to get that heartbeat of the planet, to get that healing frequency, and um, they're just such open receptors for that. That and that's actually a big driver for the work that I do. Is it's such a healing activity, is just sending your kids outside to play. And it doesn't have to be someplace fancy. It doesn't have to be a big garden. It can be a nook in your backyard. Maybe they've got a fort. Maybe there's a big tree that they can climb in. But that is the fastest way to find really profound healing for your family.
I know I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday at breakfast, and I told her we live here in the Sunshine State. We've
Mhm.
got, I can't tell you how many beaches. We live right here on the coast. Do we take advantage of it? No, we take it for granted. Don't take it for granted because it was
Yeah.
such a healing experience. I wanted to go the next day, but I felt like I was being greedy. I was able to meditate. My sense of smell, the ocean was heightened. My sense of a feeling because my feet were in the sand. My heightened sense of awareness for hearing because I was listening for the seagulls and I was listening for the crashing of the waves. So there was a lot going on there. So sensory therapy is very important. Also,
Mhm.
aromatherapy,
Mhm.
that's a great way to calm lavender. I had
Yeah.
a test taken and she says, "Oh, okay. Would you like to have a hint of lavender before?" These things are very important. That's why we got so many of them. Also, food, you know, that's a
Yeah.
great thing. And it's not always sugar brains.
Right
It's
off the plant.
exactly. So, is there also gardening? Do you have gardening in your some of your
Oh,
landscape
yeah.
architects?
Absolutely. So I was talking about the seven senses, and everything that goes into a child's environment is multisensory, and gardening it feeds all seven senses at the same time. So it's really a one of the best activities that kids can do that feeds their senses in all the right ways. They learn from it. They grow their own food, so they're learning that caretaker, that caregiver role. They get to harvest the food, share it with their family, eat fresh produce, expand their palate. I mean, there's so many benefits. I could list on and on about the benefits of just gardening. And it can be as simple as having a couple pots of cherry tomatoes and herbs on your back porch. So it's
And
so
it's a
simple.
lot of work. I was in my garden and I
Can
was
be.
lifting these, yeah, lifting this dirt, the water pail, all that bending and all this kind of
Yep.
stuff. It was great. But I was with one of the doctors that did the documentary on the 5 blue zones. And
Hmm.
what was consistent in all 5 of the blue zones, that's where people live to be 100 years and older, brains,
Yeah.
is that gardening was one of them because you connected with the earth and it was simple, but it was a lot of exercise. And they found that that was very important. So, again, outdoors is the key. Don't just stay in, take the device, yeah, take it away. Encourage them to put it down.
Yes.
Let's do this. Don't make it as a chore. Make it as a gift. I have something exciting for us to do. This is new. Let's do this. You got to talk it up, brains. And then when you get out there, you're going to realize the benefit that you found yourself. So let's ask you some fun questions, Jenna.
All right.
You were an
What do you got?
appliance. You were an appliance
An
in the
appliance.
kitchen. What appliance would you be and why?
I would probably be, my goodness, I would probably be, what a good question. I want to say microwave, but I don't own a microwave, but I just like the energetics of a microwave, heats things up.
All right. I'd be the air fryer because
Perfect.
it's quick, it's slick, it's clean, it uses a little bit of oil and it keeps things juicy and crispy. That's me. I love
I
that.
like that.
If you were a tool in the garden, one of the garden tools, what
Ah,
garden tool would you be?
oh, totally. April, if you don't have a hori hori knife, get yourself a hori hori knife. That's my favorite garden tool. It's Japanese.
Hori hori knife. What does it
It
look
looks
like?
like it. It looks like a dagger. It's about a foot or maybe 8 or 10 inches long, and it literally looks like a heavy dagger.
Wow.
One side is smooth, one side is serrated. I use it for weeding and whatever, crying things.
Wow.
It's the best. I would be a hory knife. No,
I'd be the
no doubt about it.
shovel.
Shovel, yeah.
Yeah, I just go ahead and scoop it up, turn it over. If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
Oh, um, my favorite animal is the red-tailed hawk.
Mm.
Yes, I if I could pick a superpower, it might be flying. So hawks really speak to me, and I see them all over the place. So they're probably my favorite animal.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think I'll be an elephant.
Yeah, why's that?
I'm usually the party animal, but in this particular case, I'd be an elephant because they travel in packs. They're very community oriented. They're good parents.
Yes,
They eat well. They're big. They're strong, and they never forget.
that's right.
They never
That's right.
forget. That's good. If you had three magical wishes, what would they be?
Hmm. Three. Oh, okay. So, um, hmm. Oh my gosh, you're stumping me. Um, Magical wishes. Well, okay. So I would send out beauty and love wherever I go out in front of me. So that's what I'm always experiencing. And then it always encompasses the people I'm around. I would, oh, well, I'd fly. I'd use one of those wishes to fly.
Yeah, I get that.
And then the last one is I'm going to go practical parent here, and the wish to give my children exactly the growing up, the childhood that they need to become their best selves.
Well, you are wonderful at that. Um, in closing, provide some support and encouragement or words of wisdom to a parent that has a child that has special needs and is struggling right now. What would you say to them?
Oh, just take a big breath and get into that present moment and find there's so much to appreciate about what the child is going through, how who they are um, as individuals, the beauty that they're already bringing into your life and to the lives of the others around them, and just know that there is a lot of support, not just social support and educational support, but there is a whole world of support out there that is waiting for you if you just reach out and be curious about what else might be out there in support of you and your child. And they're perfect just as they are. They
That's
are
right.
perfect just as they are.
Don't overthink it, brains. That's the
No,
first thing. And be appreciative and be grateful. You don't know what you don't know. Be gentle
yeah,
with yourself. Be
yeah,
gentle with your child. Watch your language.
yeah. And you can't
Words have
compare yourself
power.
with anyone else.
You can't. And if that's not the answer that you're seeking, the truth will set you free. But if that's not the answer, there's great people. There's other opportunities to go out there and look for it. Walk in nature, ground yourself. Please
Hmm.
tell my brains, Jena, how to get in contact with you. If there is a landscaping opportunity, there might be an opportunity to collaborate. There might be a great
Absolutely.
venture capitalist out there that wants to dump some money
Woo,
into something that is meaningful. This
yay.
is the lady right here. Tell them how to get in contact with you.
Oh, Brains, I would love you to reach out. So you can find me on my website, which is nisfornatureplay.com. All of my contact information is there. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you really want to dive into the magic that is nature play and neurodiversity, I have a private Facebook group that I would invite. I invite all the brains who want to participate in there, and it's called Sensory Rich Nature Play on Facebook. And it's a private group where we really dive into all the beauty and magic that surrounds nature play and neurodiversity.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and giving and working and cultivating a space for people that are neurodiverse. It's a challenge for them too because again they're in their own world, but again we're one species. We're not a race. We are the human race. Thank you
That's
so
right.
much for being here on the show with me, Brains. Go in and handle your business. I need you to like, love, share, and subscribe. Like, love, share, and subscribe. Go in and check out the group. check out Jena's. She's got some great pictures of some landscaping that she's done, some architecture work. But also, like I said, be gentle with yourself. That's all that we have. That's the only thing that we can rely on truly and control is self. Have a great day, Brains. I love you. Bye bye.